Right, okay. We're not crashing
Nice.
and we're coming out. I think we can see. Yep. Can you see that? Yep, there we go. We're having a good time.
Takes a bit, but then you got something, you know?
I'm not gonna open because I was looking at YouTube. I'll have to get Twitch. But yeah, but we're not doing YouTube, are we? It's not working, is it?
That's literally
Oh,
what we've
good.
been doing, Mike.
No, it is. I can hear it.
Yep. I don't even hear you burping.
I mean, you did get a new microphone just for this, so I'm not
Yeah,
surprised.
the quality of Scotland is coming out. Damn.
That's true. No, you can't be heard through the stream, but um, I mean, we can hear you burping in all your glory.
Yeah, and we'll point it out so everyone knows. So you can mute yourself.
Right, and I am not watching the stream there because it's confusing to talk and then hear myself talk a second later.
Obviously.
That's a good idea, actually.
I mean, you already made the stream go live, so we already started. Let me introduce. We've been doing this for 7 months.
We have?
Yeah, last summer.
Jesus, time flies.
You. Look at that, Dave. I've been doing it all year this time.
So, welcome to our first episode then of the live broadcast of The Grammar of Decline. This week's episode, we're talking about crime and how it affects different populations, different societies, the causes of it, potentially the consequences of it as well on people. Basically, given my recent experience with an incident that happened, somebody tried to threaten to murder me. Not tried to, but threatened to murder me on my street. And, it left me quite terrified of walking out my front door because I didn't know what this person, was capable of. I've kind of came to find out through different sources that, he's a bit of a drug user. He was on probably Valium at the time. And he has a history of threatening people around the area. So it's not just myself who's been targeted, it's been other people who's been targeted as well. And, to say the least, it kind of leaves you a bit, frightened to go out because you don't
You didn't
know what people are capable of.
you
But
didn't tell me what happened to him though. I mean, did he get arrested in the end?
so the police have got a warrant out for his arrest right now. They haven't updated me on anything that's happened, but I would imagine that when he does get arrested, he would probably be given a restraining order to stay away from this address or stay away from the street or potentially just stay away from myself, The problem is, but then he lives in the street, so like how far can that go? You know what I mean? But this boy's done this 4 times to people, and he assaulted somebody last year as well. So it kind of like, how far can the police go? Before they actually have to throw him in prison, how far can they go to make sure that he doesn't commit another crime? Because it comes down to accountability, right? If somebody's going to commit a crime, they have to be able to take responsibility for the consequences of that, and for the aftermath, and to rehabilitate themselves. So, I mean, what's your guys' thoughts on crime in general?
Well, he just needs to be thrown in prison, because if he's done it multiple times,
Yeah.
he's a menace.
I mean, yeah, that aside, there is menaces. There's people who commit one-off crimes, and but I guess it comes back to the nuance of crime, right? So, there's many different people that grow up under extreme abuse, things like that maybe makes them go to using drugs in later life. We were talking about the archetypes there the other week, and maybe different type of archetypes are more prone to using drugs because of the way they've been raised in their childhood. What would be your thoughts, Dom?
Oh, go on, Dominic.
I mean, crime in general is something that comes down to the nation itself, right? Because you have, let's look at Sweden, right? Sweden in the 90s is one of the safest places on Earth. Sweden currently is one of the most dangerous places on Earth, especially in Europe.
To be fair, we're not far behind you in the UK.
Yeah.
Right now,
in the Netherlands, I always mention this, we have the CBS, right? The Central Bureau of Statistics. My taxes pay for this. And what we have is,
right now,
generally speaking, we keep a census of how safe do people feel in their own country. So this brings it back to Dave, right? He's feeling unsafe now due to a threat of someone. So in 2021, 43% of people listed already felt unsafe in their own country, and that is up all the way to 37.2% in 2025. Of that 37.2%, 16.8% of that is in their own neighborhood. So they don't even feel safe in their own neighborhood. Sounds like, oh, it's only 60.8%, but these are millions of people. 16.8% is...
It's more than half.
What did you say?
More than half.
Yeah, no, 37.2%, not more than half.
Oh, I thought you said 60 something.
Yeah, I thought you said 60 as well.
Right.
37.2% for the total, and 16.8% from that 37.2% feels unsafe in their own neighborhood.
Wow, that's quite a big number, regardless.
I mean, that's too much anyway, as it is.
Yeah, but it's from all of those, women are representing 47.9% of that percentage. So women are a big factor for that. And I think we already spoke about this before, where the government passes a new law to disallow men to approach women in certain ways. The issue then becomes stab first, ask later. So what happens with rape cases, human trafficking cases, drug cases, it gets sent to a bureaucrat who's sitting in an office, probably lives in a nice house in a nice neighborhood, far away from all the problems, who is then going to decide, well, I don't have these problems at home, so you guys should just get raped and then call us, and then we'll take care of it. You have lifelong trauma just because there's no safety net around you.
Well, it's the whole soft on crime approach. It gets to the point where the powers that be are at best useless in doing its job, or at worst actively hostile to people who are being made victims of crime. I mean, for example, you guys know who Irina Zarutska was, don't you?
No.
Are you talking about that lady in America that's got murdered by a black guy?
Yeah. Do you know what happened recently?
No.
The trial stall because he gets he gets done for reasons of insanity, so they can't go ahead with the trial. So most likely he's going to be released again, and this is someone who's been on the streets, been re-released onto the streets 14, 15 times or something like that. and he's always done violent crime or various other things. Now he's murdered someone. But again, the system is not working as it should be, and allowing someone like this to get back on the street and menace people again when he should. If they're saying if they're saying he can't stand trial due to insanity, he shouldn't be on the streets anyway. It should be a case of one flew over the cuckoo's nest. You're sent to some kind of mental asylum so you can't be a menace to society because you're insane.
Yeah.
But these kind of things don't happen because you've got people like activist judges, whether it's in America or over here or various places in Europe, who will just release multiple criminals, career criminals, because you're part of some kind of what we deem to be a minority class. So we can, we won't investigate the rape gangs because we don't want to be racist. They make excuses for people committing crimes and then refuse to prosecute the crimes. But if anybody who is not under one of these protected characteristics commits a crime, then the full force of law comes down on them, and it's usually for minor infractions. I mean, who remembers the Nazi pug, for example? Yeah. So it's some that's not even a crime. It's like, you could. I mean, I found it funny, but you could say it was. I mean, it was a stupid thing that Count Dankula did. It's like it was supposed to be a stupid, funny thing. It's like you're not supposed to take it seriously. But he got the law come down on him like a ton of bricks when there are people out there actually committing crimes who can do it with impunity. And it gets to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if you get some of these people literally rubbing their victims' faces in it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with crime, right, that, people have different reasons for going out. There's crimes of passion. There's crimes where people are struggling to get by, and what about the person who's really struggling for their family? They go out and they take a loaf of bread from a shop, and they get caught doing that. They get prosecuted and get charged with robbery or theft from a shop. And that's them. They've got a criminal record for life just because they were trying to supply for their family. Should they people be locked up? Because
it depends. I mean, there are there's obviously varying degrees. I mean, theft is not as bad as murder, obviously.
Yeah. And then going to that extreme, obviously, then murder. Say you've got the person who maybe, let's say, their daughter get raped, for example.
Well, yeah, that's why you've got things like mitigating circumstances.
Yeah.
So things like that do get taken into account. The end of the day is you've still committed a crime. I mean, even with theft, you're stealing somebody else's property. It's not yours. You shouldn't take it. You're right that some people are driven to desperation to do these kind of things, and those are mitigating circumstances. You can take them into account, but at the end of the day, they've still committed a crime upon somebody else.
Yeah.
So it still needs some kind of redress.
Yeah. I mean, you were saying there, Dominic, about Sweden having the highest level of crime. Now, quite contrasting to that is the fact that their justice system is quite rehabilitative. So the actual recidivism rates for Sweden is very low in terms of somebody commits a crime, goes to prison and serves their time in prison, come out. Their prison system is very much focused on rehabilitation and making sure that those people, when they come out, are fully fledged members and productive members of society again. So they will work with the person to make sure that they get a stable job, they are able to have a stable family life and things like that, and that seems to work for them because the recidivism rates are very low. So
but it doesn't change the crime rates just because someone goes to prison. But they always are reoffenders. Loaded with reoffenders.
Well,
that's the thing. People should be given a second chance, but if they squander that, it's like, no, you've been given your chance.
Mm-hmm.
now you need to go. Now you're proven
Yeah.
you don't deserve a second chance. It's like the because I can't remember his name, but the guy that killed Rita Zarutska. It's like a 14-time felon, or what was it? George Floyd, multiple felonies. Or you got, or like the rape gangs over here, multiple instances of it. They don't care about second chances. They're just going to exploit the. I can't even say mercy of the system, because it's like it's not even mercy, because it's exposing other people to even more harm. But it's just, well, the injustice of the justice system, I guess you could say. Bit of an oxymoron, but you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. It's a difficult one because, I'm firmly with you, Mike. I think that, people should be given second chances, but then if they do squander that second chance, then, lay the full force of the law on them. But then going into that, what do you then do? Do we lock people up for life? And, it's taxpayer money that goes towards that person being locked up. Or, a lot of people now are calling for the death penalty.
I'm not hearing solutions. I'm just hearing throw them in prison, and then what? Like,
Yeah.
how did they turn to crime in the first place? So in the Netherlands, the statistic that we have is that from all the numbers that we have for crime rate, so there's about 0.8% of population has committed a crime around the age of 12 to 18, which is way too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from those, you have the second generation demographics. So on all of those numbers, the higher than average comes from a certain group. And the thing is, right, like with blank slate theory and with like just
good old
everyone on their own, what you get is everyone just does whatever they want, and then you turn back to tribal warfare, because that's the direction we're going to.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the Somali fraud now. They're doing one-on fraud, but they're doing it for their own tribe. They don't care about the other tribes around them. They're just there to out for themselves, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I think like through the the episodes, what we've talked about is civilization for themselves as a sort. You know what I mean? But I think for me, like, you can only judge a civilization, or not a civilization, but you can only judge a country by the way it treats its prisoners as well. Does that make sense?
You can only judge a country by the way the not the prison, but the people themselves are raised. That's the crucial detail.
I mean, look at what's happening here. Look at the way our country, for example, Dave, is treating its citizens. They're treating us as second-class citizens under the law.
Well,
they're arresting people for minor stuff like just mean tweets while letting actual criminals go free. So it's not. There's one thing about it saying, oh, well, you can look at it by the prisoners, and that's one way of doing it. But there's many more factors you need to take into account with that.
It's funny when you're saying that about being arrested for minor things, because I don't know if they've brought it down where you are, Mike, but for ours up here in Scotland, there's now a dispersal zone in Glasgow, and
I've not heard of
basically, if police think you are out to cause trouble and you are any more than a group of two people, you can be dispersed from that area and told not to come back to that area for a maximum of 30 days.
So is that some kind of profiling then?
Yep.
Yeah,
so the police will take your details, and you will be logged on a record, a system, and then if you are caught in that area within the next 30 days, they could be arrested for it, basically.
Yeah, so it's profiling, but against acceptable targets this time.
Yeah, it's like George Orwell almost.
The same problem, right? Like, you're not solving any problems. Like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. Like, look at us, we're bureaucrats. We make rules, we make pieces of paper. We're so amazing at our job. And you guys are just not going, oh, look how good it is. No, it's not. It's dog shit. You have no culture. You have no purpose. Like, what is the culture of the Netherlands? It's drugs, sex, and alcohol. What do you do? Okay, like, how do you procreate? Because that's the final thing. Like, the most deepest emotions that humans have are two. Like one is procreation, the other is death. Those are
Right.
the strongest emotions that we have.
Hang on, we do have some culture. It's T and Q.
Yeah, that's old culture. That's
Yeah,
old
yeah.
culture. Like I have those in my country as well. Like the Netherlands used to be a very powerful country when it comes to its cultural scene. Like look at our painters, right?
Well, it's Marxist subversion, isn't it? Our culture's been undermined by people who don't, it's the whole demoralization process that Yuri Bezmenov went about. We've been demoralized, and our culture's been made, well, not important anymore. So people have just forgotten it, and now we're getting to a point where we literally have to fight for culture to reinvigorate our culture in various countries. Otherwise, yeah, we will be completely subsumed by people who just don't like us.
Yeah, and then you keep getting the same cycle. Like you import people because nobody has children, because you can't have children because the taxes are super high. There's no purpose to procreate. Like it's an endless cycle of like you can try to solve problems, but the reality is like as long as you don't create something that transcends purpose, you'll never get anywhere. That's something that Kierkegaard wrote down as well, like with the difference between the aesthetic. Like people require a form of transcendent purpose. That's why so many people are starting to become religious now because they seek that purpose.
Yeah, well,
It's
it's why you're getting like Restore Britain being up and coming, because it's trying to get people to be proud of their culture again. We should be unapologetically British. That's what we've always been. We should continue to do that and get rid of these subversions and pale imitations. Basically, get rid of all the bad actors and get people into positions of power who want to continue British traditions.
Yeah. So let me ask a question then, right? So, Mike, what for you is being British?
Being British?
Yeah.
Well, you've got to like the country. You've got to like the people in there. Flaws and all, but you shouldn't be afraid to question it as well, because you don't want to be a mindless sycophant. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of culture mixing, because I mean we've been doing that for centuries, but it shouldn't overtake what explicitly we shouldn't surrender what it is that makes us who we are.
Right.
well, you already have. Like the bureaucrats have already signed up to get rid of it all.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. We need to stop them from doing that and basically make sure that they aren't in a position of power to be able to do that going forward. It's not going to be an easy thing. I mean, because these people are very fully entrenched throughout all layers of government, culture, schools, various other places. So I mean, and they, it's what was it, the long march of the institutions? They've been doing this for decades. It's not going to be a thing that we're just going to go like, oh yeah, we'll just get rid of all these people and we're done. It's going to be a case of these people have spread a cancer throughout. I mean, not just Britain, but like the Western civilization in general for decades. It's going to take a long time to get to root out that rot and make sure we put in safeguards so stuff like this doesn't happen again in the future. And
Yeah.
that's if we manage to do it in the first place. I mean, it could fail. I'm
Yeah.
under no illusion that this is going to be a long, hard slog, and it might even be something that goes beyond our lifetimes.
Yeah.
You know, I might be dead by the time this is done because
Yeah.
I've died as an old man.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
one of those ones.
Well,
But
I mean, I am the old. I mean, I am the oldest outboard, so I know I am a
yeah,
granddad of
yeah,
the group.
absolutely. Yeah, you old fogey. What about you, Dominic? How does it, I mean, what is it like to be Dutch? What's your kind of nations to be
I
proud
mean,
of?
there's a separation,
Dutch.
right? Like where I'm from, it's similar to the difference between the English and the Scottish. Like, for the people in the north, we have way more like it is what it is attitude. Like, just fuck it. Yeah, like don't try too hard because I mean it's gonna be a bad time anyway. At least that's how most of us are. But if you look at the universities, what they're pushing is mostly just already what Roger Scruton warned about. So there's a lot of push towards like inclusivity. There's a lot of push towards like what doesn't really matter in the bigger picture for a nation. I guess that's kind of like the main thing here, right? Like the bigger picture for a nation is extremely important. Like, what do you want to do as a nation? What do you want to achieve as a nation?
Hmm.
And currently, it's just like, just whatever we're in the mood for, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when it comes to specifically my city, it's definitely based around like sex, drugs, and alcohol,
Yep. So
which
then,
is obviously not what we want.
if we bring that back then to crime, I mean, how do, when people are getting nothing to do, they're not productive in society. Do you think that then leads to more crime being committed because there's nothing to do, there's nothing to be productive for, there's absolutely nothing to live for?
I think it depends, because it's either they will go to crime if they've got nothing else to live for, or if they are provided for, just become like Dolites or something like
Yeah.
that. Then they just become vegetative and they just sit there consuming resources.
Because I think here, like in Britain, I've seen a couple of crime documentaries and stuff like that, and prison documentaries and whatnot. And you know, I watched one the other day on the BBC, and it was talking about the infamous Berlin prison. And you know, there was people in there. They were going to drug classes and things like that, and you know, getting help for that addiction and things like that. But then they're going back up into the halls, and they're getting given PS4s. You know, and it's like it's a comfortable life. And
Yeah,
you know,
you shouldn't be given that kind of stuff. You're there to repay a debt to society.
mhm.
No, it's not it shouldn't be a hotel stay.
Well, what
You
what I
should- you
think.
should-
Sorry, I just to interject.
go on.
What I think is it should be privilege based. So if a person has gone to prison and they prove that their behaviour has improving, like they should start off with nothing and then be able to build it up to actually be given privileges within prison, and then get them ready to go back out into society, right? If they're going to go back out, because imagine you coming out of prison and from going from absolutely nothing to having absolutely everything, you know, that's going to fuck you up as well.
The
to an
problem
extent.
is the problem is that's how it started in the first place, and then they all start because it's not fair that some get it and others don't. So some can't earn this kind of the whole equity bullshit. So that kind of thing's probably happened in prisons anyway. So I'd say you get no amenities. You're there. You serve your time. You get your basic needs taken care of, but nothing. I
Well,
mean, and you can still be taught. I mean, you get good behavior. I mean, that could be like, okay, we can maybe you get something for it, like maybe
Yeah.
reducing your sentence or
Well,
something like
maybe
that.
like even like a pre-release facility. So yeah, you go to prison, you do your kind of main sentence, and then maybe 6 months before you're due to get out, you get like a pre-release that gets you ready for going back into society. You know, where you start getting a bit more privileges within that, within the walls and stuff like that, and getting to learn how to budgeting again and things like that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these skills, I guess, are pretty lost.
Okay, but
So-
then, like, what is the
to be fair-
purpose? Like, what purpose are you giving these people? Like, if you don't give them a purpose, you're just creating a hospital in your country.
Yeah, well, no,
So
that's
yeah,
what I'm
so-
saying. So if
Yeah.
you
So
go,
so
yeah,
yeah. So I mean, for one thing, you said like making like learn to budget. I think a lot of people outside of prison can learn how to do that as well.
yeah,
I mean, I learned how to do that quite late as well. I mean, it's I took some knocks before I could figure out how to budget properly. So what you need to do is they also need to serve the time for what they've done,
Mhm.
but we also need to make sure that they are taught some kind of maybe like
yeah,
some kind of trade skills.
jobs, yeah.
So that when they get out, there's a job market that they can get into, and it's a bit of a fine balance to do, because like obviously you get former prisoners who they get a bad rap, they can't get jobs. We don't want to hire a former criminal.
Yeah,
that
I
kind
mean
of
the,
thing.
the whole
Even though
British justice system is set up to make sure that
Well,
if you've got a
that's
criminal record, it's with you
that's
for life.
that's not about the criminal record. It's about the stigma. It's a societal thing.
Yeah.
If now it's deserved in some people, like career criminals, like who keep sliding back into committing crimes. Obviously, you don't want to hire people like that, but there are people in there who genuinely are remorseful for what they've done.
Mhm.
they do their they do their time, and with certain exceptions, once they've done their time, it should be like the slate's clean, as it were. You can go back out. You can now be a productive member of society again. A lot of people manage to do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think you tend to
just,
find
like,
a lot of people like that in warehouses and things like that. Not to say that everybody in a warehouse has got like past convictions or whatever, but you seem to find that people who have came out of prisons are, they tend to work in like preparing food
well,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
You've got to get entry level jobs somewhere, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can, as long as they're given the chance to work their way up, because it's like,
Yeah, they're productive.
if they're forced into a position where it's like, oh well, I'm just going to be stuck on the bottom rung of society because I made some mistakes when I was younger, and I'm never going to be able to get the social mobility to actually make something of myself.
Yeah.
It's like Dominic was saying, they have no purpose in life. Then they're just going to be society's punching bag.
Yep.
And sometimes it's through. It gets to a point where it's not through their fault.
Yeah.
It's through other people's perception of it.
Now, I think our whole system is based on a disclosure system, right? So, I mean, if you've committed a crime when you were 15, and let's say it's that stealing that loaf of bread, that goes on your criminal record and it's there for life. So, if you go through a disclosure, that's on that record, and therefore
Yeah, but we
people
have
can
things like
people can employers can discriminate against that. What I believe should happen.
we have things like spent convictions. So if it's been like a long time, it's like if it's spent, it should not be.
Yeah.
But
it can still show up in an enhanced disclosure. So even spent convictions can show up in an enhanced disclosure, or a PVG check.
If it's been spent.
Yeah. It shouldn't.
Unless it's something that's tied to, like, say, someone had a sexual assault conviction, you don't want them, or like a paedophilia conviction, stuff like that. You'd never
don't
want them working around
with
kids
vulnerable people.
ever. So stuff like that makes sense. But if it's like you said, just stealing a loaf of bread, if it's been like 10 years and you've not done anything since then, I mean, even 10 years might be a bit much, but saying that's like, that should never be relevant. It should just be wiped from your record.
See, this is what I was going to say. Right, okay. So the disclosure system should be set up in a way, if it is relevant, if the context of the crime is relevant to the actual workplace that you're going to work. So you brought up paedophilia there. Let's say, no, they never go anywhere near a fucking nursery, a school, whatever. Vulnerable people in general, they never get anywhere near them. But if there's something like a warehouse that they're preparing food, does that really need to be brought into question for the disclosure? I don't think so.
It's not relevant to the job, I mean, for something like a warehouse job, no. With a restaurant, I mean, kids still go in there, so
it's unlikely that anything would happen in that situation. But then, it's dependent. Really.
I'd say the likeliness is not really relevant there. It's like it's still putting children at risk, So stuff like that, I'd say, if it's like a public-facing job where a person is unsupervised with kids there, then. They should never be given that position again.
Yeah.
Well, when you're saying like with a dishwasher or serving food, maybe I can see arguments for and against it.
Yeah.
So there's
I mean, to an extent, right? So, for example, if it is a public-facing job, then maybe to at least somebody within HR is aware, so that safeguards can be put in place to make sure that that person's not put into a position where they need to be in taking care of vulnerable people.
Well, they never get a chance to be alone with a kid. Basically.
So even down to murderers as well, if there's no, they don't get left alone with vulnerable people, or are violent offenders where the assaults take place, to make sure they're in situations where they can't.
Well, that's where the whole spent crime thing comes from. It's like with a cancer diagnosis, you keep getting checks until you've always like 10 years or something, and then you're given the all clear, you're cancer free.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if someone's fresh out of prison on a murder charge, I'm not going to be like, yeah, I'm still gonna be very careful. I wouldn't let them be in there in the first place. I'd let them build trust and work up to it, maybe.
Yeah.
But they'd have to really work to earn that trust.
Yeah, and I think that's where the safeguarding needs to be put in place, right? So, you know, the whole disclosure system should be built around contextual disclosure. So if it's relevant to the role, then it should be disclosed, you know. So if there's any violent crimes, anything to do with people, really, then the people should be working in back office jobs, like, you know, where they're not really interacting so much with public, so, or warehouses, you know, where they're maybe stocking shelves or something like that.
Yeah, you've been really quiet though, Dominic. What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I've said it a few times already. Like, if you don't create an ideology, it doesn't matter what all your opinions are. You just create the same shit show. Like, you've created a hospital and called it a nation, and now you want more hospital solutions. Like, okay, like if that's the direction you want to go into, like, I'm
So
not gonna stop
what would
you,
be
but
your solution?
Well,
then?
but what's your solution?
I've
You've
said it,
been
like, you need an ideology. You need a functioning ideology of what you want your
yeah.
nation
No,
to look like.
the problem is that's far too abstract. It's like it's okay to say, oh, we need an ideology, but what
Yeah,
is
like
the
you
ideology?
already
What is
see it.
coming with?
There is an extreme amount of Islam converts in this nation because people want purpose, and if you want purpose, what do? Well, you look for something that
So
gives purpose.
yeah,
So it comes
so
with
your
religion, it
solution,
comes with philosophy, it comes with ideas.
yeah, so your solution would be religion then.
Yeah, not necessarily. Like Confucianism, for example, is not a religion; it's a philosophy. You need something that gives a purpose, like some kind of ritual, some kind of steps you can follow, something that gives you meaning towards your life.
Yeah, so teaching people skills can do that then, because it can give them pride, and a simple thing like having pride in your work would be something to aim for.
That's something the Japanese have.
Yeah.
With the Mono Agare, for example, that's a Japanese type of culture that goes
Yeah,
into
so
these type of things.
yeah, so I think the thing with us here then is you're looking at the end result, but we're looking at the specific steps to get there.
I mean, that's what we've been doing all the podcasts, right? But we're looking
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all the individual steps that are there.
Yeah, but I mean,
Eventually get to
like,
the end station.
so I mean, we looked at obviously the end results, people going to prison ultimately, but or people coming out of prison anyway. But I mean, what do you think really drives people to actual, you know, go and commit these crimes, to become violent, to, you know, we again, I mentioned at the start of the episode about archetypes and stuff like that. Do you think it's a certain personality that's more likely to go to prison than another type of personality? Because I bring this up because there's people who go through traumatic experiences in their childhood and they are functioning members of society. They don't commit crime. They're you know, fully fledged, grown, accountable people. But yet then you've got people who do suffer massive abuse and go the absolute opposite way, where they're absolute menaces to society and end up in prison on a murder charge, you know?
So don't know. I mean, I think there's as many reasons as there are people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it really depends. I mean, I think all it takes sometimes it's just one really bad day is all it takes, you know?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it could be.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who are in prison on like one punch charges, if you know what I mean, where they've got a murder charge because they punched a person and the person fell, hit their head, and died because of it. You know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like I think we can spot patterns with it, but you know, there's so many different patterns. It's like, can we really get them all? We just have to do the best we can with it. Unless you can actually start reading minds, maybe. I don't know.
That'll come soon, I think. You know, I mean, where your thoughts will be broadcast.
Yeah, once we got the Neuralink set up, come on, Elon.
The thought police, the thought police will become a thing. You know, George Orwell's thought police, 100%.
Like even with religion, there is crime. Like in the Middle East, you still have like people dealing with drugs, people dealing with all kinds of acts of violence, but that's just maintained.
Well, you had the old classic as well, which was pedophilic priests.
Yeah, the Catholic priests.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not as much as a problem anymore, but you know, it was memed on. But yeah, it's, you know, I mean, some people use stuff like that as a mask for their crime.
Yeah.
So
I
It's like
think,
a lot of people do bad things in the name of
yeah,
religion, but then you could do that with any ideology
yeah.
or any idea.
You could do. You could, to be fair, you could do that with any position that you're put into to allow you to do that. If a person's determined to do something, they'll utilize the power they've got to get into that position to do it. You know.
I thought you said possession for a second there, so I was thinking my
Yeah, the
I was
exorcism, the
no
exorcism
no
of
no
Emily
no no I
Rose.
was thinking possession, so I was thinking my precious. I was thinking
My
Gollum
precious.
for a second there.
Pure Smeagol. But no, if
But yeah,
somebody's
even stuff like that. I mean, it's like coveting. It's like what one of the commandments: don't covet from thy neighbor or whatever it is.
yeah,
People will. I mean, this is one of the reasons why communism will never work, because someone will always want something that someone else has. Whether it's something tangible like oh, I've got a really shiny rock, or someone got married. It's like I want his wife.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's always something. So
Yeah.
you're never gonna get you're never gonna get
Yeah.
you're never gonna stop people wanting other people's things.
Yeah, absolutely, and that I guess that comes down to jealousy and envy, right? It's one of the seven sins, isn't it?
Well, it's
Jealousy and
yeah,
envy.
7 delicacies, but it's just different people. People want different things. It's why utopia is never going to work, because it's like one man's utopia will be another man's hell.
Yeah.
So you're never going to get something that will fit. There's no one size fits all solution to this, basically.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
organic development because human beings in general are chaotic beings. So you need a certain guideline of things that are important, like let's say your parents, your family, people around you, your community, or just generally speaking. Think about like rituals, like what the Confucians do. There's like they honor their families, right? It's similar to what the Romans used to do. Like these type of things give people meaning, give them purpose. Like, oh, I'm doing this for the greater good of my family, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But then you've got the people who will still have that meaning and still go out and commit crime. And
Yeah,
that's
that's never gonna change, but it's more like
mean,
you
well,
need a general guideline.
Yeah, I mean, you can't demonize something based on its exceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are going to be people who do bad things with an ideology, but usually it's not the vast majority of them.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And
but barring a few ideologies I can think of, which would be the exceptions, like the vast majority of like religious people, they want to live good lives. They want to do well under the eyes of whatever their god is. A lot of non-religious people want society to be better and just to be nice to each other. Like like
it's
the
completely false.
well, no, you've got like things like the non-aggression principle, like that libertarians have. Whether whatever your opinions on that is, it's like not everyone sees God as the means of doing it. But they might be. But
Confucianism doesn't have a god. That's the
I
whole
wasn't talking.
thing about it.
I wasn't talking about Confucianism. I was talking about
No, I'm
religion.
talking in general, like when it comes to ideas, like even without God, there's still like meaningful, like not dishonoring your family, not giving
Yeah, no,
disrespect.
that's what I was saying. It's like people
People don't
will
have that.
find people will
People
find
literally have blank slate theory.
who.
so what's blank slate for you?
Blank slate
Oh,
theory is that
everyone's born equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's born in a blank place and you can write whatever you want on that.
But
which
that's not a
obviously isn't gonna
thing.
work.
That nobody's born equal, right?
Yeah, but
But
that's,
these people,
that's the
but these people,
ideology of
these
our
people believe it.
nation for the past few, like, 100
Decades.
years almost. It's kind of
And
started
it's become especially prominent with the with the rise of Marxism and communism
Yeah.
again.
But even down to, like, for my opinion, even down to things like intelligence, some people just can't pick up things that other people can. For example, I'm into my music, and I sit, I play the guitar, I play the drums. If somebody watches me, they're like, "Oh, I wish I could do that," and I say to them, "Yeah, you probably can with practice." But then they practice and then just can't get that good.
Well,
And
but
I'm
my-
not trying
my-
to say, I'm brilliant, but some people just can't pick up things naturally because it's just not in
my
their
favorite example.
wiring.
Yeah, my favorite example is Usain Bolt. It's
Yeah,
like
you couldn't run 15 miles an hour.
I'm not going to be able to run even half as fast as he could.
Yeah,
But I mean, to make it equal, if you want to have equity like some of these people want, we're going to have to cut off his toes. You
Yeah.
know, just to make things fair.
Just to
You
even
know,
out the playing field.
yeah,
of course.
which is a stupid thing to do. But it's like, yeah, he's clearly been born with an advantage
Yes.
that pretty much that nobody else in the country can match.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe now I think it's been a few years since he's retired, but you know, not many people can match him, let alone exceed him. I mean, I'm never gonna do it. Even when I was fit when I was young, I would never be able to do that.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, people are born with different advantages, whether it's physical, mental, some societal as well. You know?
What was it? I seen that one the other day. The kids who are born with that like Hercules gene, where basically they can build up extreme muscle. And that their muscles just don't stop growing. So like by the time they're 6-7 year old, they're like Terminator, you know what I mean, or Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Was it like
and you're like
something like that?
Something like that. And you're like, you know, I could work out, you know, 15 weeks at the gym, and I would never get anywhere near that much muscle. But yet these people can absolutely just build up muscle by just, you know, looking at something. You know, it's ridiculous.
It's different body types. People adapt differently to different things. I mean, some people get fat more easily. Some people put on muscle easily. Yeah. Some people could just really adapt to cardio and just they could do long distance. They do things like triathlons or something like that. While a bodybuilder would absolutely struggle to do a triathlon.
Yeah, I think that's like one of my genes. I'm quite I can endure quite a lot. You know, so I can go quite. Even though I'm quite a big person, I can go quite a long distance without getting tired. You know, whereas other people who are my size might not be able to do that, you know.
I used to be able to do that, but then I got really lazy when I finished school. I'm never gonna be able to build it back up again, but I'm trying to get to some level of fitness so I can at least you know, I can run down the street without being winded. You know, if I can get that far again, I'll be. I used to be able to when I was a kid. I used to be able to run from my house to school, which is like just about a mile, and I wouldn't even be winded. It's like I'd get there, I'd be fresh, but like, "Whoo, made it!" And you know, I'd just go in and do something. If I even tried to run not even a fifth of that distance now, I'd have to stop. I'd be like, "Oh."
Yeah,
I'd be dead.
I think you have to adapt to your situation, right? And I think, you know, through the stories that Dominic shared with me, Dominic's the prime example of that, where he's adjusted to his circumstances. You know, if you don't mind sharing a bit about that, Dominic, then go ahead. But you know, he's I think for me, like from what you've told me, Dominic, you are the prime example of that, where you've had to adjust to your circumstances and, you know, the problems that you've had throughout your life. You know, and hats off you for doing that, you know, because it's not a lot of people who can do that, you know.
We all have to do that anyway, because if you don't adapt to your situation, well, you're kind of screwing yourself.
But to a physical degree, you know what I mean? I think it's like if I lost some ability, you know, to do something, it's going to be very hard on a physical level to get that back. And you know, from what Dominic shared with me, he's managed to do that, you know.
I mean, he'd have to tell. I mean, he'd have to tell us.
I don't want to say too much because it's not my place to say it. But you know, all I want to say from my end is, you know, well done on that, Dominic.
It's more like there's some videos going around, like a physiotherapist working with a lady that's 104 years old, and she was kind of chair-bound and couldn't get up by herself. But then, due to physiotherapy, she was able to do it again. The question is just, why did she require a physiotherapist just to do the bare minimum? Like, it's a ridiculous pattern where people just become complacent and don't want to adjust to change. So when someone accepts, like, okay, I'm chair-bound now, they'll just have that mentality of, okay, I'm chair-bound now, and then not try it anymore. And as a result, she was actually stuck in her chair. Like, it was almost impossible for her to get out of her chair. And then throughout, like, I don't know how many months of basic training on getting out of a chair, she was capable of getting out of the chair by herself at the age of 104. Like, it's all about, the human brain is developed in such a way that around the age of 25, it starts hating change. So throughout years and years of life, so let's say throughout the age of 25 to 60, you lived life a certain way, but you've accepted the decline as it progressed. And eventually you just give up. Like so many people, they're like, oh, it's so amazing, do stuff like that. I'm like, I do the bare minimum that it should be required of a human being. Like when it comes to like strong men creating good times and good times creating weak men, that's what this is. It's just a bunch of weak men that don't know what a struggle is and then getting amazed when someone just casually does it. Because my life has not been easy. Like getting diagnosed with cholesteatoma when I was 6, going through 12 surgeries to 6 and 12, then going to middle school with a quote unquote development disorder, because, you know, like when someone is in the hospital quite a lot and has surgeries quite a lot, you fall behind. And nowadays in a therapeutic society, they will just slap a disorder on you and be like, yep, you have a disorder, like there's something wrong with you. And it's like, yeah, there was something wrong with me. I went under the knife 12 times. The therapists get paid to put labels on you. And there's a lot of people,
I found,
once they have a label, they'll just embrace that label and never try again.
yeah,
Because
I found a lot of therapists now are very permissive of people as well. So it's instead of trying to get to the root of a problem for someone, they'll be like, "Oh no, that's okay, that's okay. You can indulge in that bad behavior, you know."
yeah, there's like also the label itself gives people a lot of like, I've seen women with bipolar, it's like, oh, I'm just bipolar. I'm like, that doesn't give you excuse to act like a piece of shit.
Hey, that's what I mean. Yeah, they start. It's like what they do is like you know, like we said before about like perverted pedophilic priests. They use the label to get away with doing stuff, because you see it now. A lot of people are like, yeah, I've got bipolar, therefore that excuses my bad behavior. Or the worst ones is like where people go like, oh well, I'm minority group, so yeah, that somehow excuses my bad behavior. It's like it doesn't and it shouldn't.
Yeah, but that's kind of the point that I'm making, right? Like, there's like, oh, amazing. I'm like, this is bare minimum. Like, if you're a fat piece of shit, lose weight. If you have
Yeah.
struggles with social like behavior due to being in hospital, then change it. Like, when it comes to putting actions towards your words and understanding, like, okay, like things should be going a bit differently, that's where it starts with. Like, understanding where to go. Like, as a civilizational theorist, the very first system I tackled was my own body. I was like trying to understand what's wrong with this body. That's where you start with, right? Like, that's okay. Like, I've cholesteatoma, I'm poor of hearing. I gained a ton of weight when I had surgery again when I was 17, because that's when my mindset just completely became depressed. And I was like, you have a lot of things to solve. Not a lot of people can do that, obviously. But it does give the bare minimum. Like, okay, like, even the bare minimum in that position would be, okay, get to a decently healthy weight and become at least operational within society. Like, those are like the two main things that you're looking for. And that requires like some work, but not a lot. Like, my part's basically going all the way, changing everything. It's like, okay, I take care of my house, take care of myself, take care of like everything that I'm doing, and then I have like a decent life at least going forward, right?
Yeah.
Like right now I'm doing like leg presses of like 215 kilos. Like that took a lot of effort to become that strong in my body, but it's just about a mindset of can you do it? And even in esports, like in esports, you're expecting to meet the cream of the crop, right? These are the people that are pursuing the absolute top of like a video game and wanting to play for the world championship. But the absolute worst people that I've ever worked with were all Western Europeans. These are some of the most entitled, silver spoon-fed crybabies that expect results to come to them, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Not knowing at all, you need to actually put in some effort. Like, these people want to become a professional player, which is one of the most competitive jobs you can have in the market right now. Like, from all the people that are in esports, maybe 0.0001% of them make it to pro. This is an extremely competitive market. And you can't even do a 5-day per week routine. Like, it's pathetic. Like, when I look at culture and when I look at ideology and I look at these things, I also look at children. Like, I've coached a lot of people that were aged between 16 and 19, which is scientifically said to be one of the best times to be teaching someone, because this is when you can really grow as a person. That's when the brain is like hitting in a second spike, because the first spike is obviously in your childhood, the early years between the ages of like 6 and 9. And instead of like using that, they're just going like, well, I just want results. Like, the reason Europe is performing so shit in most esports is because other cultures simply have a better standing. Like if you look at South Korea, which is definitely the powerhouse for League of Legends, which is the biggest esports by far, they have a culture that came from like an economic miracle. Like they had to go from the 60s to the 90s to completely rebuild their nation, which was a lot of work. What do you get? You get strong men. And strong men create better times. So obviously they've taken that to a bit of an extreme, and there's problems there as well. But you do see the culture going down towards like their children, and these children are like, okay, think about people around you, think about age groups, which is kind of like a double-edged sword because of seniority and like creating hierarchies within environments. But that is not a bad thing per se. It's just something that needs to be controlled. Beyond that, you have people that want to get the best out of their skill set, want to put in the work, put in the routines, and as a result, more often than not, Koreans are the ones winning. Chinese are also picking up on that. The Japanese are also very good at fighting games, for example. Because these are cultures that are bound around the perfection of skill, which again is a double-edged sword. But if you can maintain that to a degree, you can create a much healthier society. In the West, it's like, just look at Finland, right? Go to school, and now we are seeing a lot of reports and research on children finding no purpose in life, already starting the ages of 12, because they go to school, no homework, no purpose, just like do whatever you want, and then they're like, okay, but what do I do?
There's another one as well, which is the lowering of standards when it comes to kids. So we go, so it's like it used to be where, well, so with my test scores when I did my GCSEs, I got fairly average B's and C's across the board mostly. I could have done better because I was one of those. I didn't do much homework, didn't do much studying, so I could have done a lot better. But I was lazy. It's one of those. I regret doing it, but I was a kid at the time. You do stupid things when you're a kid. But yeah, my B's and C's now will probably get me like top marks in today's current test environments because the standards have been lowered that much that anyone who got a fail in previous tests would now get passes.
Well, it's also now becoming really apparent that kids for screen time as well, like if they're getting use of a lot of screens, like their iPads and stuff like that, it's actually dumbing them down. And they're unable to retain information.
I was on that tablet, because if it's like there's a lot of people that use tablets to teach their children. Screen time itself is not the problem here. Like you do need to point out like it's what's giving dopamine distractions.
Yeah, so what I would say is if I was in charge, no social media for kids.
Yes.
Until they turn 18. No YouTube stuff unless it's actual proper educational stuff. Because it's the problem is it's supposed to be used as these things are supposed to be used as a tool to help kids grow up and learn things. Mm-hmm. But they're not done anymore. They're now used as a crutch to they're now used as a crutch to basically.
Yeah, well, mums and dads are leaving their toddlers with, tablets to sit and, watch whatever they're watching all day, kids' programs and stuff like that. When really, they should be limited to maybe only half an hour a day on a screen, and the rest should be building up, communication skills and other vital skills, you know what I mean, instead of leaving them just sitting with a tablet.
You need a mix of the two, because you've got because it's like I agree with Dominic on this. It's a tool. It's not the screens themselves aren't the problem. It's how we use it.
Yeah, that's absolutely. So I did. Clarifying that it is how we use them. It's how we're leaving our kids with them.
Because parents that you see nowadays are extremely entitled. It's all about me.
Yeah.
Like most parents that you meet are very narcissistic. They're like, we have a child, but I can still, do my own hobbies, and I can still do this, and I can still do Y, and I can still do Z. Like,
I can't wait till my kid goes to bed to be able to do this, is what you often hear from parents,
Yeah, like, back in the day, you would have like your parent read you a bedtime story, or just passing down fundamental skills. Is like, for example, let's say you're pretty good at I don't know what to call this in English. It's like hobby work.
Yeah.
where you work with wood and stuff like that. If you're good at that and your child shows interest, that you can have your child watch you at first and just get used to like just holding some plastic toys and then just enable that behavior.
I was going to say because you've got you beat me to that one. It's like you could get them to help with cooking, like very very basic
Yeah.
tasks, like wash the vegetables before I cut them up.
Yeah.
And then when they get older, it's like, okay, well now you can start peeling the vegetables. Now you can help me cook. You can stir the pan, that kind of thing. So obviously you want to be careful you don't actually make them to drop the pan on themselves, but you wait till they're old enough for that.
Mhm.
But you can start with plastic stuff, right? Like there are plastic kitchens and there are plastic tools and stuff like that. They can already observe you, and if they like that, you can already enable that behavior.
Yep.
And the idea for blank slate theory is kind of like just do whatever you want. So parents that, especially that go to university, the quote unquote educated ones, they go to their child and be like, well, we're going to force things on you. So they either just give them TikTok all day, they just be quiet so I can live my life, or they are very helicopter parents and they decide everything the child has to do.
You don't get taught life skills in school. I mean, you didn't get taught life skills when I was in school, so this is a very old problem. It's so it's like it's like this goes beyond just going, oh, put them on TikTok or whatever, because that's made it worse, a hell of a lot worse. But you got a lot of kids there who don't know how like a bank works. When they get there, they don't know where food comes from. They think it just appears in the store, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Parents will often put money away for kids without actually giving them the chores for them to earn that thingy. But I mean, I'm not a parent, so I can't like say that's definite. But from what you observe, there's a lot of parents who just, they'll give their kids money without any purpose behind that money. They haven't earned it in any way, so therefore it gives them, as you said, that sense of entitlement where they can just like, okay, well, I can just get money if I need it.
There's another one with that, because it's like I got pocket money from my dad when I was a kid, but it's like it teaches. It was like, but that was it. It's like, no, you're getting this. You get like a $5 for every couple of weeks.
Teacher's responsibility, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's like, but if you spend all of that, that's it. You're not getting anything else. So be like, oh, I really want to get this comic book, but I can't afford it. My dad's not going to give me any money, so I'd have to learn to save it up for a couple of weeks and not buy anything that I wanted. Yeah. So it could teach you restraint. So it depends on how you do it.
Mm-hmm. You're getting teenagers now who are getting to driving age 17, 18, and they're getting Mercs, you know what I mean? Because their daddies or their mummies and daddies are that rich that they can just go, right, okay, here's a Merc. Yeah, I know, absolutely. But I mean, Americanism is like, a lot of the Western culture takes example from that, I think.
Not really. Like European Union is very separate from American culture.
Right,
like you have the idea of like a nuclear family, which is like a very broad term. But for example, the American dream is something that's actually impossible in my country.
Yeah,
like a big house with a garden and a pool. Like the pool alone is already delusional. Like, crazy.
Your land's flat.
And also the cars, the size of those cars, and like those things are just not possible.
It's like what they need to do is they need to aim for like the really really nice bikes. So so when the parent comes up, it's like instead of having a little bell on it,
I've got my carbon fiber bike.
Yeah, it's got all the lights. It's got all the lights in the wheels. And when you're pedaling it, it makes noises.
Yeah, but in saying that, there's a lot of people going about in e-bikes now in Britain. But look at the problems that's causing as well. Like there was somebody get killed the other day because of an e-bike, because a kid driving around an e-bike.
And this is what I don't understand. Those e-bikes go 25 kilometers per hour. You're supposed to have a license for that.
Yeah, but we're giving it to our children.
The thing is, it's like, why have an e-bike? What's the whole point? It's like I see people on e-scooters. It's like the whole point of it. You're supposed to move it yourself. Yeah, but now we've even taken that away.
You're missing the point. Like from a Dutch perspective,
it's essential. It's essential. Yeah,
we are like this country has horrible weather. And a ton of wind, right? Like there's a lot of people say, "Oh, the Netherlands doesn't have mountains, but we have wind." I would like to see you try cycle through a solid 8 kilometers of wind in your face. Is that a pleasant experience? Like cycling has already been proven in this country for a lot of people to replace the car with. So,
Well,
for example, my brother-in-law, he lives quite far away from the city. Like I would say, about 20 minutes with a car. But whenever it's good weather, he takes the e-bike because this way he doesn't get to work sweaty, which is step one. He gets some exercise. Again, it's not the same level of exercise on being on a normal bicycle, but you get some exercise. And overall, you get to be like a bit active, which is very good for your heart. It's good for your body. You enter work with a healthy mindset. Whereas with your car, you can be like, you have road rage, you have people being frustrated they're in traffic again. And cycling just goes straight to all that because well, that's how our roads are designed, right?
well, two things. One, skill issue. Just get good on your bikes, you lazy bastards. And two, everybody hates cyclists. I mean, all the
Oh.
most road rage is directed towards
Yep.
cyclists because
In
they
my country,
fucking.
the cycling roads and the normal roads are literally separate.
You know, I actually
It's
had
it's
to.
supposed to be like that over here, but no one ever fucking. I mean, that's probably why. That's probably one of the reasons why
Yeah.
no one likes a cyclist because they're never on the cycling lanes.
Yeah, no, the other day
I've never
I
seen
was
one.
like, I was in the car and I got stopped at a red light, and the cyclist just came right down the side of me, bypassed the red light, went onto the pavement, and then crossed the road and continued cycling on the road. And I was like, "You bastard!" You know?
Yeah, no, so-
That's it's another thing. Like we're talking about crime today, and he just broke several laws, and you're just laughing about it.
Yeah, and
Okay,
no,
you
I know,
can't
I
say-
know. That's the
Because-
thing. It's
because
so.
Because
Yeah.
it's absurd. It's like, yeah, because it is absurd. You can laugh at these things, but still condemn them.
Yeah.
It's like it's like people make rape jokes.
Yeah.
It's like
No,
it
I
doesn't.
mean
It
more
doesn't
in the
mean,
sense
it
that
doesn't
we're
mean
talking about
condemning them.
crime, and we're talking about like how people don't care about anything. Like
Yeah.
something that I call the Great Plague is basically what we mentioned about Final Fantasy, right? Is when the law becomes optional and nobody cares about actually enforcing it.
Yeah.
And then creating more and more laws, making more and more problems, more and more bureaucracy, more and more paperwork. Like it's one endless cycle of like, okay, like just do what you want.
Yeah.
And like
I
in this
thi- I-
country, when I see someone do what you describe, my first thought is okay, it's an asshole, which
Yep.
basically means
Yeah.
in Dutch like it's an asocial person.
Yep.
And
I mean, that's what we said. I mean,
I always want this guy to get some serious fucking consequences.
Yeah,
'Cause
well,
what he's doing is life threatening.
My initial
yeah,
my
yeah.
initial thoughts on what happened. I'm laughing about it now, but my initial thoughts on what happened was he's putting himself at risk. Like he's going to put himself and the other driver at risk because if a driver comes up at 30 miles an hour and he's just crossed the road to go into that oncoming traffic, he's then putting himself at risk and he's putting that driver at risk by running him over, and then fucking the driver has to deal with that consequence as well of running somebody over.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean, so you're misinterpreting a bit there, Dom. We might be making light of it in the moment, but we don't. We
No, I
do
mean, we're
recognize
on
the
the
seriousness.
topic of crime. Like I know the joke, but we're on the topic of crime. And you're not taking it there. That's kind of my point.
I mean, we can still have some levity with it, though.
Yeah.
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 But
I
it's
think
just that
I
thing,
think
like,
you've
when it
got to
comes
laugh at some of
to-
the situations, haven't you? Really?
No, I'm kind of done laughing at these things. It's either we do some action or we just laugh until the end of the country.
Well, we can do both. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive.
Well, that used to
I mean,
be the
I mean-
case, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
we can get back to that, sure.
And
but
and
yeah.
the whole situation of that person, again, there's when somebody doesn't think they're being watched or going to have any consequences to what they're doing, they're going to do it regardless, and that's
but
again
that's-
that comes
Well-
down to
well, no,
accountability
the
consequences.
worst,
Yeah.
the worst kind of person would do that. There are some people who, when it's like what you are in the dark or something like that. No
Yeah.
one's watching. There's
gonna
no
do it.
recognition of what they do, but
Yeah.
they will do the right thing. Some people will do that. So it's only the worst kind of people who would do that. If they
Yeah.
if
Well,
they
I-
have no accountability, they can get away with
I
it.
think it then comes down to your morals, your own morals at that point.
Well,
you know?
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of where I was going. Like we're talking about crime, and that's the whole point. Like what we call normen en waarden in this country, is the values that you were raised on, the values of the nation. Like right now, you don't have values in this country, my country. It's
They've
basically
been corrupted.
I
They've been
go
corrupted.
outside, and like for example, I had to vote last month.
The vote
And
for
in my
what?
voting ball, I get a whole piece explaining voting in English. And I'm like, I don't know who this is for, but these people should not be voting. If you
Yeah, no, we
need
have that over
English
here as well.
instructions to vote in this country, you have no business voting. It's completely ridiculous. And that is kind of like where you're heading. Like you're heading towards like, fuck it, just do,
Well, yeah,
do
no,
whatever you want.
well, that's what we've got with people bringing, like the lowest common denominator and trying. It's like they like the Labour government lowered the voting age to 16 in this
Yeah, that's
country.
weird.
Yeah. So they're doing it. Yeah, they're doing it because they want impressionable voters that they can control. So it's what they're if you it's like when you get the Americans going in there. Like we hate voter ID, even though a lot of things in America require ID, but for some reason voting doesn't, because they want these lowest common denominators people to get in because they think that will get them more power. So it's stuff like that. Stuff like that is an active attempt by people to game the system, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the direction, right? Like in my neighborhood, hearing the Dutch language is actually rare, which upsets me, obviously, but I'm kind of like, this is what we created. Create an entire situation where, in order to get votes, you import as many people as you can, and you give them nice things on behalf of the taxpayer money, and then they will vote for you. That's kind of the mentality of a lot of politicians have.
Get them on benefits.
So what's the most
And
prominent?
that's what you do as well. You could do that with the natives as well. If you get them stuck on benefits, well, they're going to vote for more benefits, aren't they?
Yeah,
What's
it's
the
a very
most
selfish system.
prominent language then in Dutch? Like, what's the most prominent language over there?
What do you mean?
Like, is it English or is it?
It's Dutch, obviously. We're Dutch. What do you mean?
Yeah, no, but you
No,
said
but you said you don't hear it much anymore. So has it been replaced
In my
with something?
neighborhood, in my neighborhood, it's Arabian.
Arabian.
See, we have a similar thing over here. I mean, the language is still majority English, but there are increasing times when you hear people just talking complete foreign languages everywhere. It's like that should be in your own country. If you're in England, you speak England. If you're where you live, Dominic. Sorry, yeah. If you're in England, you speak English. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry,
I speak England.
sorry, I'm sorry. I've just outed myself. I'm not really from. Yeah, but yeah, no, if you're where you're from, you speak you speak Dutch. If you're in Scotland, you speak whatever the fuck it is they speak. I don't know. But
It's
yeah,
Gaelic.
it's like no, it's I know it's Gaelic. It's just grunts and for me. I mean, come on. I mean, I could barely understand you when you speak English. Let's be honest.
But
But,
no, do you think it's quite disrespectful to go over to a country and not speak the language?
Yeah, you should. Even if you can't speak the language, you should at least make an attempt. Because I can't speak a lick of Japanese, right? I'd love to go to Japan. At the
Konnichiwa.
very least, yeah. I mean, other than stuff like that, I would at least take some kind of phrase book and try and at least, get the base. If I can't learn it before I go, I would try and get the basics.
Yeah.
So I could at least. Instead of pointing to someone, like, if I'm going to a shop, I'm like, oh, get that, please. And I'd like, because they can't understand me, I'd be like, I'd at least try and say, learn some basic Japanese words. Because it shows a respect for the culture then that you go in there.
And nobody's really got an excuse anymore because you could Google, Translate that could teach you the language. You could learn from that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, that's a shortcut doing it. I would say it's much more respectful to actually do it without an AI.
Yeah, well, maybe.
How many languages can you speak, Dominic? Because you're a polyglot,
Yeah,
aren't you?
yeah.
I can speak 5.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you ever go to any of those countries where you can speak the language, even if it's not fluent, you're showing respect to the people there because you can do it. I mean, there's a thing in Spain. They hate our expats. There's a bit of running. Yeah, there's a running meme because they make no effort to integrate when they retire over in Spain. They just speak English all the time. They don't try and integrate with the Spanish culture, and they want to get rid of everything. And I can't blame them. It's like, because it's massively disrespectful. If you're going to live over in Spain, you want to do it for more than the weather. You want to do it because you like the Spanish culture. The weather's nice. Spanish culture's good. You want to make friends with all of the local Spanish people. One of the ways of doing that is learning the language. I mean, if you go there and you don't know it, but you make an effort to learn once you start living there, that's good enough. Knowing it before you go, or at least to a conversational level, would be better. But as long as you make the effort, that's what you want to do. And just relying on AI all the time, if you're doing that and making no effort beyond, oh, I've got my translator, I'd say that ends up being more disrespectful in the end because you're not respecting them enough to
Yeah.
try and learn properly.
Yeah, but
I
then
think an
again, you
interesting
got
point
this.
there, right? All of these people come into, for example, England or my country. They don't
Mhm.
learn the language and they don't learn the culture. And what you get then is tribal people because they don't fit in with people. And human beings are orientated towards themselves, right? So that means they want to
But the
fit in
in
with the people around them.
the in-group preference, yeah.
Yes. So the moment they don't make it in there, they try to find people where they can make their own group, and then you get those
Well,
bubbles.
Well, that's an interesting thing because when immigration was at much more reasonable levels, decades ago, anyone who would immigrate to another country would have to integrate into the culture because there weren't enough of their own people from their own homelands where they could form enclaves.
Yep.
So they would have to integrate. Now they're coming in such numbers, and they're allowed to come in such numbers that they don't have to do that anymore. They could just form these enclaves, and then they take over local areas,
Yeah.
and they become completely. It's
Segregated. Really?
yeah, well, yeah, saying it's like you step over a line and you're in a completely different country by that point. It's
Mm.
like you've crossed the road, you've gone from England to Bangladesh, because I mean that's just random name, but because it's like the culture there is completely different, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't be that way. I mean, it's like I said
Integrated.
before, yeah, it's like you can bring a little bit of your culture along. It's like there's a bit of give and take there, but it should be like 80-20 or 70-30%. It's like you bring a little bit of your culture to the country you go to, but you accept more of theirs. And the same goes if you go to their countries. It's like, okay, if I move to Saudi Arabia, I'd be, I'd bring a little bit of my Britishness to it, but I'd be accepting a lot more of the Saudi Arabian norms.
Mm.
I mean, a few people might find the few British quirks I bring as a bit of a novelty, but that should be where it goes to. It shouldn't overtake the local culture. It should never overtake the local culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. For that, you first need a culture. The
Well,
past is
like
not really a culture. Like you need a present thing where people can be like, yes, this is something that I want to fight for. And
it's
instead, we
it's
got like a lot of, like for example, in my country, we had the Moroccan mafia, right? The Mokro mafia,
yeah.
and it's growing because it shows tribal presence, it shows hierarchy, it shows dominance, and men are attracted to that by nature.
Yeah.
So what you
Well,
get is more and more criminals.
Yeah, well, it's like you said before. It's like it's past, present, and future because it's built on the
Exactly.
past. You maintain it in the present, but you've got to look towards like what you were saying before. What's the goal? Where do we go in the future? What are we building these things for? Or what are we trying to maintain? So it's all of these things. You need. I mean, you do need a historical context for it. You need to know what your history was, where you came from. Then you go like, okay, well, here's we want to preserve this, that, and the other as part of our culture. We want to maintain our identity as a nation, and then do we want what do we want to improve upon? What do we build upon? What do we want to be known for as as our nation continues? But it's been completely subverted. Like I said, it's not gone, the culture, but it's been heavily suppressed. We're told to be ashamed of our roots of where we come from, usually in the form of, oh well, it's slavery. You engage. That's the most common form of doing it. But there's other things like other things as well. Like, oh, you've oppressed. It's always we always look on our histories as a negative thing. Now we've done all these bad things. We never look at the positives. Things we should be proud of that our countries have done.
Yeah, but that's Marxism thought, right? Marxism is entirely built around you have to destroy everything.
Yeah, it's
and create a
deconstruction.
completely new thing, but it doesn't work. Like a good example is in Notre Dame. The Notre Dame is a symbol of Paris, right? So it's similar with the Eiffel Tower, obviously, but Notre Dame is much older than that. But
Oh
the
yeah.
building for it started in 1163. Every single person that started building Notre Dame was dead before it was even near finishing, because it took almost 200 years to complete the damn thing.
It was one of the great undertakings of the time, wasn't it?
Exactly. And that's the type of thing, like in the current era, for my personal opinion, space is the thing that you have to build towards to, because that's the future.
Well, I think. Well, why did they build the Notre Dame?
It was a
because
religious symbol.
yeah, it was a project. It's like if you're playing Civilization, it was a project culture. Obviously, you get that reference on it, but yeah, it was a symbol of national pride as well. It's like we built this. This is for us. This is ours. It's not yours. It's ours.
Mm.
Well,
And
it was for the Virgin Maria, because Catholics.
no, but like on a social level, I'm not talking like the religious part, but the French was like, yeah, this is ours. We built this. Our ancestors built this.
That
It's
includes
like
stuff.
it's like with us and like a lot of our castles and our
Yeah.
historical sites. They're ours.
But then look at the opposite end of the stick. Look at the Statue of Liberty. Was it not France that built that for America?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
you
you
know,
can't-
but then
you-
Americans
you-
associate themselves with the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, but the French and the Americans were quite well interconnected during the founding of America. I mean, the French helped the Americans against the British, that kind
Right,
of thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they were very closely linked, and it was like you can do these things as gifts for other cultures,
Yeah.
between friends. I mean, it's like if I gave you something like, oh, no, you've always been nice to me, Dave. Here's a little something for you, like
Oh,
no
thanks,
strings.
Mike.
Yeah, stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging, that you've been good to each other, and giving gifts. I mean, you do things like that for friends. You do favors for friends all the time
Yeah.
without expectation of them going to be doing a favor back to you.
Yeah.
It's not transactional. It's just like I just I want to do something nice for you.
Yeah.
And that can be done on a national level as well. I mean, things like like if there's been a natural disaster of some kind, like was it the Fukushima the Fukushima incident. A lot of other countries came and helped the Japanese with the reactor meltdown and reconstruction efforts, not out of any sense. Oh, we're going to get. I mean, probably some did. We're thinking, we're going to get something out of this. But a lot of people just did it because, like, well, yeah, these are nice people. They're our friends. We want to make sure they're all right.
So
mean,
here's
it's-
here's a quick
Go on.
thought, right? That I've got in my mind just now. So
Uh-huh.
you said about transactional. It's not transactional, but right now in our current climate, things are becoming transactional, and I'll point the finger directly at the US and who's at the helm right now. For example, using military bases from Britain, and he's now in the position where he's saying, "Oh, Britain's X this and that," and the next thing, and you're meant to scratch our backs because we scratch your backs. So it's kind of, we maybe don't want to become involved in a war because we want to keep out of it, but it's
That's-
pretty much becoming
Different, though,
transactional
because
right now.
We're talking about NATO. and
Yeah,
Yeah,
NATO
that's
is
what I say.
a
That's a bit
military
different because
alliance.
that's. I mean, I don't like the fact that we're getting involved in the whole Iran situation as well. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's a
Mm.
bridge. It's a bridge too far for me. It was like, as much as I'm usually favorable towards Trump and what he does, I don't like what's going on in the Iran war. That's like I say, bridge too far for me. But that's different. NATO, an alliance, is much more of a transactional thing. Like, you scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Right.
I mean, it's always been a case of, like, it's been known for a long time that America has been the number one contributor towards NATO funding for ages.
Yeah.
And I think, as much as I don't like it, they are right in some cases. Like, you kind of do owe us because we've been paying the vast majority.
Well, I mean, yeah,
It's
you've
like
got
a lot of European countries haven't even been paying the minimum
minimum.
contributions towards
Yeah.
NATO, and America's been paying it on their behalf. It's like, well, you kind of owe us at this point, and it's
Yeah.
like, I don't like it, but I'm like,
course.
I can see the
It's
arguments.
also
It's like,
training, right? It's like, keep in mind, those NATO exercises, there's a lot of American military intelligence going into training the NATO armies.
Right.
So,
there's that,
like,
and the fact that a lot of intelligence
Yeah.
gets shared. It's like,
I
okay,
guess
you've got potential threat. Yeah.
I guess as well. That's the
NATO is a much more complicated beast than what you're
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
out to be.
I guess, like, what I was going to say is you have got the thing, the rule in there, into a war on one is a war on all, for the NATO situation. So, if, for example, there had to be strikes back against America, then we would have to actively then join the war, because a war on one is a war on many. But in that situation, America started that war. You know what I mean? And without getting too much into the politics of it, should we really be getting involved in something that one of our own has started? If it wasn't discussed in the first, the first instance.
There are obligations. I mean, obviously, we don't know the minutiae of it.
Yeah.
There are obligations we've got to meet, though.
Mm.
And again, it comes down to the fact that the US have been basically propping up NATO almost by itself. I mean,
Mm.
we are us in the UK are the second biggest contributor towards NATO, but we are a very, very distant second to what the Americans do. So it's like, I get where you're coming from, and I don't like the situation, but we do have obligations to meet.
Do you think that relationship will ever be recovered now?
I don't think- I don't-
America itself will probably collapse. Same with Europe. Like,
There's gonna be
system, right? That's kind of the whole issue. Like, where are we gonna go from there? Like, people just get more and more angry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing
it's-
like
there's-
worship of Luigi, who was a murderer. Like, it doesn't matter for what reason he did it. It doesn't change the fact he's a murderer.
Yeah.
And it's also
Well, yeah,
like
but
there's-
people do because it's like, oh, eat the rich king. It's like, oh, he's a rich billionaire, he deserves, like, not necessarily.
murderer is
He
still
might-
murder, like,
Yeah, it's like he might have been a terrible human being and he might have been profiteering, but like murder, you don't do that. But then again, you got a lot of the justice system which allows people to get away with,
yeah,
but
because
look at the
that's
castle
what
laws.
that way
which
since the, 60s.
Yeah. But then I'm saying that feeds the thing of like, oh well, that's one of the reasons why people worship him, and it's like, well, we've got to stop fostering that kind of situation. I mean, I don't know how. But there's a lot of stuff that needs to change because it's like you said, it's civilizational collapse just on a long. It's like a lot of people think when it goes to civilizational collapse, it's going to happen overnight. It's not. It's going to happen over decades.
Slow. I mean, the
Yeah,
Australian, you can go all the way to the 90s and already see all the cracks.
But
It
yeah,
started in the 70s for the Americans.
did you not say to me once, Dominic, that this is the fastest civilization decline that's ever been kind of recorded?
Well,
because...
I think it's because of the internet and
everything
interconnectivity
has
of the
sped
world.
things up dramatically. Yeah, like if you think about the Roman Empire, where Edward Gibbon wrote for the collapse over centuries, it's very hard to do because, like, for example, right, like let's say you're a barbarian and you want to invade Rome. It's very hard to do because you have no information. So barbarians also didn't really have spies. So how would you get any information to just casually walk in? So you're not going to walk in because you're expecting to see the Roman legion. You've heard mysteries of the Roman legion. You've heard stories about the Roman legion. You're not just going to walk in. Now,
Well,
for
plus,
example, we look at Russia. If you look at Russia as like a paper tiger, nobody's afraid of Russia anymore except for the nukes.
Well, one other thing as well, it's going to take ages to get there as well because travel is a lot, so you got to go by foot, fast as by horse. Yeah, I mean, well, look at the Maduro situation in January. That was literally done in one night because the American troops could surgically insert there. It's like if they didn't have the technology, they would have had to travel by sea or over land through Mexico and go down into Southern America, which both ways would take a long time. And they wouldn't be able to just get straight to Maduro's palace. They'd have to infiltrate or fight the way, through the countries and whatever armies.
It's not including hunger, logistics, potential disease, and everything. Like nowadays, you just have like vaccinations and everything, and there's doctors on board of those flagships, and instant care for everything. And you didn't have those things back in the day. So right now we have optimized things to such a degree that everyone can just look on their phone and know what's wrong with the country and be like, okay, like this is not good. And then everyone gets upset and now everyone is angry and then everyone starts bickering with each other and then everyone starts fighting with each other. But hundreds of years ago was more like the taxes are high and I can't really feed my family. I don't really know what's going on. Maybe they're doing the right thing. Maybe we should revolt. Like it's very hard in those days because revolting would mean you need food, you need energy, you need to be capable to revolt as a civil war, right? And to invade, you also need logistics. Like, it's a very complicated system back in the day. But now it's like,
what was it? What was it? The hierarchy of needs. And if people don't get like their basic needs met, that's when people start to really revolt.
Yep.
So we're not at that point yet, but people are being misdirected with all of these, surface level causes. that gets them angry and angry and irate and ideologically captured. So then they start to that's where you get like performative virtue signaling because
Yeah.
because this kind of thing only happens in a content society.
Mm,
Not
yeah.
necessarily, but I get what you mean.
Yeah.
We're
Like,
kind of bending over and letting it happen.
when it comes to Europeans, and generally speaking, because most of what you're seeing in America and Canada is obviously descended from Europe, it's this concept of the regulus, right? It's the most educated person, has all the right paperwork to show his competence, but he's completely incompetent at actually doing something for the nation. These were the poison of Rome. These were very poisonous politicians who could say all the right things, and people enjoyed listening to those things because, oh, he's saying the right things.
Well,
And
it's
in
yeah, it's,
reality, once he gets this job security, he's like, okay, I've done what I needed to do. Now I'm just going to wait for the next problem to come, and then I'm going to speak about the next problem. I'm not just going to solve the previous problem, but I'm going to speak about the next problem.
yeah. Well, it's like it's credentialism taken to its extreme because it's like, do you remember, like with COVID, it's like trust the experts, and looking back, a lot of people rightfully predicted a lot of these experts were wrong, but they were saying the right things.
Yeah, we have whistleblowers as well, right?
What?
We have whistleblowers for like vaccinations.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
being rolled out too fast, etc. Like we don't have the right science yet. Like they're just speeding things up because they want the GDP to go back to normal. They want the world economy to go back to normal. Because that's the only thing modern politicians are loyal to. GDP.
Money and
loyalty
power.
they have.
Money and power.
Some, yes, like I'm pretty sure my politicians really don't give a damn about power. They just want their job and their money and just for things to function. Honestly,
Well, the two are intrinsically tied, so to a point.
yeah, to a point. Like I wouldn't say they are like Trump level of power, but it's
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not when I say money and power, I don't mean like, well, by power, I don't mean like, oh, you're gonna be able to like, you're not gonna become a Bond villain or something like that. But you have you have control over your immediate environment and surroundings. You're
Yeah.
you're the one in charge. That's what
They
I'm
don't have
talking
that in
about.
my country because the current coalition is a minority coalition, so they're literally dependent on parties not associated with the coalition to join them for anything to happen at all. So they don't even
We
have a
have
majority.
yeah, we have that sometimes over here if we get like a hung parliament or something like that.
Yeah, so like power is not really. I mean, he has power, but not really. Like he's not going to get anything done, and things are just going to slowly, like kind of what Winston Churchill said, right? Like democracy is like the best we've got out of the worst, and at least you can like see the decline happening in real time. And like we was fully right. Like we're actually witnessing the decline. Obviously, Spengler was already onto that as well back in the German Republic. Like there's
I
a
mean,
lot of
I
people
know.
that are already ahead of those type of curves and kind of
Yeah.
expecting kind of what would happen. And
with it happening slowly, I mean, hopefully it gives us enough time to course correct.
I mean, right now it's happening so far that it's really hard to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be there's not going to be an easy fix. There's not going to be an instant solution, but hopefully, so if things are too far gone, then anything we do would basically just be limiting the damage. But it's gonna like the collapse will happen anyway.
That's why.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping I'm a bit more of an optimist than you, so I'm hoping we're not at the point, and we can at least, if we can either stop and reverse it and try and fix things, or at the very least limit the damage so we can pick up the pieces afterwards.
Yeah, but like
One or
what
the
we
other.
said with Deva, like when it comes to crimes, crime is increasing. People are no longer feeling safe, and it's increasing. Like in 4 years, so from
Yeah.
2021 to 2025 in my country, it has increased by 4%.
Yeah. And I think
is
that
way too much.
the scary thing as well, it's sexual crimes as well as increasing,
Oh,
which massively more times than not, it's violent sexual crimes that are increasing.
because
Theft
what
has
are the
gone down.
consequences? A few years in prison?
Half the time, it's not even that.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly. It's
you look
slap on the wrist.
I mean, look at it this way: it's like if a criminal breaks into a person's house and they get injured, they can literally sue the person they were trying to rob. So it's like the criminals actually get you get what was it? Daniel Penny, the guy who choked out the guy on the train because he was acting.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean that guy, in a past age, we would consider someone like Daniel Penny a hero. Or at least a good person for doing for protecting other people. He got demonized by New York State. He got put.
That's
He's, I think. I think he's still going through.
Was it
going
not
through court.
Trin who was watching that case?
What?
Was it Trin who was
What?
watching that case as well?
Trinity was watching it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been paying some attention to it, but it's stuff like that's like it's like, what is it, a chilling effect? People are afraid to do something because they know the full might of the state is acting against them a lot of the time. It's not working in the best interest of the people anymore, and that's one of the reasons people are afraid.
Yeah.
If we had it where, like, if you had proper self-defense capabilities, you should be allowed to use them in your home or in defense of yourself or people around you because someone is acting in a threatening manner. I mean, obviously you got to look at it after and say, like, well, was this reasonable? So if someone's just being a dick and calling people names, but being a little bit antisocial. Going up to one with a gun and executing them, it's like, yeah, that's not a proportionate response.
No.
But you can,
Of course not.
but you can figure these things out after the fact. But if someone's trying to rob your house and that person ends up getting killed, it should be treated as, well, you used what force you thought was reasonable at the time. We can figure out whether that was the case after the fact.
Yeah. So if I
That's the law, baby.
felt
That was what?
That's the laws. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a law. As soon as you enter my territory, from that
Yeah.
moment onwards, whatever happens. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't give you permission to enter my house, so
well,
that's another potential way of doing it. I mean, I was trying to do some, like, trying to mitigate it somewhat, but I mean, I could see some people go for a more hardline stance like
So-
that. I mean, and I wouldn't blame them in some cases.
So here in Scotland, if I felt unsafe in my home and I wanted to keep a weapon by my bedside and I was prompted to use that weapon, I would then get charged because I used that weapon.
Yep.
So
No,
it's a bit backwards.
No, if you break into my house, you're getting a face full of the Master Sword and Hylian Shield.
Yeah.
No, because I've got a replica of the. Well, actually, I've got two swords. I've got a Heron Mark blade, which is essentially a fancy katana from the
Right.
Wheel of Time series, and I've got a replica of the Master Sword and Hylian Shield. So yeah, if you go into my house, you're literally gonna FaceTime me with a sword and shield.
Brilliant. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's quite a sad day if you want to defend yourself in your own place, that you could potentially get a prison sentence just for defending yourself.
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right? Like, when we spoke about archetypes as well, like, protection is a prime requirement
Oh, yeah.
for women to seek in men.
It's
But if you
it's-
are incapable of protecting, what we see then is that
Well-
all of these male thoughts go towards upwards. It's okay, like, we
Yeah.
will eventually fold in a Leviathan that will just devour everything.
yeah. I think
That's what happened with communism. It's what happened with Nazism. It's where eventually people are just so fed up, they will vote in a Leviathan that just destroys everything. It's the same what's happening right now in America. I'm assuming after Trump, it's very likely that there will just come someone along that will just say the most.
It's most likely going to be JD Vance if he runs.
I have no idea, but it's all about, like, eventually there's going to be some guy that's going to be like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
yeah.
And people will be like, oh, hell yeah, finally, we're going to get some action. And this guy will then just do the most heinous stuff that has happened in the Soviet Union. That was what happened in the Nazi Reich. It's what happened in China, what happened in Colombia, and North Korea. It's still happening. Like, eventually you will go there where it's like, okay, like, you either go towards the direction of communism, which means you either agree with our ideas, or we send you into a concentration camp where we re-educate you, or we just get rid of everyone that is not part of our
We're-
group, which is tribalism.
Well, we're kind of getting to that point with Britain right now. Like
Oh,
like with all the with all the mean tweets and stuff. Because usually those are things like, yeah, you're criticizing the government or you're criticizing like the police or something like that, and then you get a visit from the police.
Mhm.
That's like, so it's
yeah, you
being
go to the
used.
Facebook posts.
Yeah.
Where the
So
person-
yeah, so hopefully, like I've said many times before, I'm hoping with Restore Britain, a lot of this can be reversed. I'm thinking this is probably going to be a last gasp. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, then I think the country's
I mean,
probably
the problem is
doomed.
it requires voting, and most quote unquote educated people will vote the opposite because, well, they're dumb.
Well. I mean, you're right about that, but um, Restore Britain's been on a meteoric rise. They've actually managed to be getting into polls, which is very
Yeah,
unusual for a
parliament
party that.
rate.
Yeah, so it's very unusual for a party that's been active for less than 2 months, but they're already polling like near 10% in aggregate polls, which is unheard of. So there's potential. I mean, we've got years left until the next general election, unless Starmer calls one early. But if things carry on at this rate, or even like even if it slows down, but still keeps going, it might end up with we might end up with a party that's potentially going into a majority very soon. So, like I said, I think it's the last gasp of British patriots to try to regain control of the country and basically of our own destiny. And if this fails, there's probably nothing left. We will be a conquered country at that point if this fails.
Hmm,
That's how I'm looking at it anyway. Obviously,
it's a fair
I'm
look.
just yeah. It
It's a fair look.
it could go many different ways, so we'd have to wait and see. But I mean, like I'm involved in. I mean, I joined the. I mean, I joined up before it became a. Back when it was just a
Yeah, you
political
told me like
movement.
a year ago.
Yeah, and this
And then
is
it kept
back before it
growing.
became a. Yeah, this is back before it became a party. So,
Yeah, that
I've
was a
been in.
movement first.
Yeah, so I've been in since the start. I mean, it's one of the reasons I put a flag up on my house. And honestly, actually, excuse me, like the whole raise the colors thing. I'm honestly surprised with how many people have been putting up flags. St. George's flags or Union Jacks outside of the houses. In my neighborhood, it's not the vast majority of them, but there's a noticeable amount of people, and they keep like a flag pops up here one day, another flag pops up there, like a few weeks later or a month later. It is happening, and so it is a growing movement, this kind of thing. So it does give me hope.
Mm.
Yeah, for me, it's
Yeah.
more like for it to actually do something, I would need to see the philosophy behind it, which means an actual cultural renovation. Because you have too many millions of people that are not aligned with English, mm, English
Well,
values.
I've given you the link to the site age. I mean,
I
I'd do
know,
it again
I've
for you,
watched
but
it many times.
yeah, you
But
can
it's
have
up in
a.
there. Like they don't have a plan for the millions of people that they will set off-site.
But that's what, if you look at it now, they've got the manifesto up. You can have a look at what they're planning to do. I mean, it's not. It might not be some stuff that you agree with, but at least it's a plan. So it might be worth having a look at that.
Give me like a rundown, like something quick.
Well, for a start, a lot of it is to repeal a lot of these new laws that have come in. Like the Orwellian type. So get rid of the Online Safety
Okay, but I'm
Act.
asking about culture.
Culture. So we're back. We're going to be back to promoting British values. So England.
Okay, what are British values?
Right. Let me think. 'Cause these kind of questions always stump me for a bit. So give me a second. Well, start. We've got to honor English history again. So
Okay.
yeah. So we need to get
Honor
back
the past.
to
It's good.
yeah. So we need to get back to
Winston Churchill.
acknowledging and celebrating our history, and not just looking at the bad things. It's like, okay, we did engage in slavery, but we were also instrumental in stopping the transatlantic slave trade,
You
stuff like
literally
that.
ended it. You went instrumental.
Yeah.
You ended it.
Yeah, no, I was downplaying a bit. I didn't want to brag, but yeah, it's
These are the moments where you should be proud of
No,
all
I mean,
the blood that was shed.
Yeah, no, I know that. I mean, we literally paid for it with blood and coin, blood and tears and coin. But
Yeah.
so we've got to acknowledge that we need to get rid of the, like, in a more current sense, we need to get rid of the um, massive immigration. We need to reverse it, actually.
Okay, but
So we
that's
need to have
nothing to do with British values.
no. But that means, because of that, we have less people coming in who are hostile to English values. We can then, it's much easier to promote our values, English values in the future. So we can then start saying, well, we can now start to celebrate our history. It's I think there's some talk about getting more more religiosity in there as well, because we are a Christian country.
What about being able to be a bit more sarcastic with people? Because sarcasm is one of the
Well,
British.
that is well, I mean, that comes in with getting rid of the
Hearty
get rid
feeling
of
words.
well, yeah, that gets that's repealing some of the laws. We can at least be, talk honestly with each other again. It's advanced be afraid of, like, oh, what I'm saying is going to be
Seen as
it's
quite
gonna be
derogatory.
Well,
yeah,
just
yes.
ask a question. Like, if you think about Japan, what do you think about?
Samurai swords. Samurai
Yeah.
swords.
I mean, well, yeah, samurai, but I'm thinking, like, it's a hard-working culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
honorable, respectful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing for us as well, because it's like we will. One of the things is getting back to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we. See, I always
Yeah.
struggle when it comes to talking
They,
about
they always
culture.
like bow to each other and things like that, and they're very respectful of each other's
Yeah, no, it's very. I mean,
space and things.
we wouldn't be doing that, but it's one thing.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be like, one thing is to say we're not ashamed to be English. That's one of the reasons everyone's putting up
I
flags.
mean, like, you've probably seen videos, right? When Japanese people go to like an arena, you can catch a baseball and pass it around the entire arena, and you will still get the baseball back.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so they're respectful of other people's
When
property.
it comes to the Japanese education, for example, which is not perfect, but there's one thing they do, which is the reason why, generally speaking, Japan is quite clean. It's from a young age, so around elementary school, you get the responsibility of cleaning up after yourself. So that means the classroom that you use is a shared space with your classmates, and you're all assigned a certain day where you have to clean up that classroom and also the surrounding of the school itself. You're part of the school, which means around the school you get certain, like, quote unquote tidy jobs. So where you have to maintain the school, like some people maintain flower beds, some people maintain pets, some people maintain the trees. Like, this is
Yeah, I mean
something.
I mean, those are under English values as well, and so I think that's part of what's going to be promoted. So, like, we're gonna get kids brought up to be respectful. They respect their own spaces. They don't just, like, leave a lot of shit everywhere. They're respectful to the parents and the elders.
Will there be blind respect or will there be a purpose behind it? Because the issue with Asia is that it's blind respect towards elders.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, I don't know the specifics about that. I mean, it would depend. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't do blind respect. You've got to earn it. But
Exactly.
I would, at the very least, I'd be civil, to someone. If someone's not an arsehole to me, I'm not going to be an arsehole to them. But
That's fair.
yeah, but it's like if someone, if I come across someone who I know is a nice person, I'd be very respectful. I'd be like, oh, well, can I help you out with something? That, I'd go above beyond just being civil. I mean, for example, I mean, I'll show you the picture later, but we had a bit of a storm last week, and my neighbor's tree fell down. Well, not her tree, but the tree in front, like the public tree in front of her house. And it happened on Easter Sunday, actually. So it a part of the tree just snapped off in the winds because it was an old tree. Damaged the fence and blocked her in. I mean, and I didn't have any reason to help her out, but I was like, but she's a nice woman. I've talked to her a few times, and I helped her out. I helped her get the council to come round and do the tree, and then try to sort her out with getting some compensation for the damage. Getting in touch with the council for that, and she was very appreciative of it. Which fair enough, but yeah, it's like I did that because she's a nice person. She's never done anything bad to me. I've never known her to be um bad to people on the street. I mean, to be fair, my street's a bit of an anomaly. I wouldn't say tightly knit, but we are somewhat of an old-fashioned street where everyone knows each other, so most people get along. And there's a lot of people help each other out, and it's done. It's like I said before, it's not transactional. I mean, I didn't ask her for anything afterwards, but I just did it because it was the right thing to do. And
about being a wholesome neighbour.
Yeah. I mean, she was. You help your neighbours out. And that's the kind of thing that you do. You don't do it for recognition or anything like that.
That's maybe a British value in itself.
I mean, it should. If it isn't, it should be. But I think it's a thing that should be cultivated on an individual level as well as a more, I guess, national level.
Yeah.
If
I mean, it goes back to contributing towards your community, right? And
it does.
making sure for the tribe, and you could really see your street as your tribe, right?
Well, it's one. It's I mean, it's. I would say I wouldn't say it's your tribe. It's like it's not even your neighborhood. Your family is your tribe.
Yeah.
But your neighbors could be seen as your surrounding allies or something like that.
It's a form of protection, right? So if something happens in the community, neighbours can all come together and kind of go, right, well, what's happened? How can we potentially stop this situation? For example, I've spoke to my neighbour about what happened the other day, and we were both of the opinion this person shouldn't really be in this neighbourhood. But then I said to my neighbour, like, he's just going to get moved to somewhere else and create problems there for somebody else. So how do you actually deal with that? Like, how do you deal with somebody like that?
Yeah, short of them dying somehow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he could do something stupid, like get hit by a car or something,
Yeah.
which would be preferable because it's one less. Some people you don't feel sorry for.
Well,
when they
funnily
die.
enough, my neighbour
But,
brought up a situation where this was before I lived in the street, and basically what had happened was there was this person living in a house, and they were taking drugs. They were a junkie for all words, But anyway,
Yeah.
they had the police and the ambulances at their door constantly, and it was a nuisance in the street. He was causing a lot of problems within the street. And one night, the police were there a little longer than what was required. So anyway, Jim, who's one of my neighbours, went across because he's an ex-police officer. At the time, he was a serving police officer. But anyway, went across, talked to them who were there, and they kind of said, yeah, he's passed away. But my neighbour's response to that was that they were all kind of sitting, like, smiling. And it's not good to smile at somebody's death, but she put it across in a way where they were relieved that person has passed away because he was causing so many problems.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like if you like let's do something a bit more extreme. You're in a hostage situation,
Yeah.
and a few of the hostages die, but at the end of it, you make it out alive.
Yeah.
It's not wrong to feel relieved. That's a completely human emotion. You've gotten through the bad thing. And with something like what you've described, it's like, okay, this person's been putting people through a bad situation. You can feel sorry that he's gone, but it's also fine to feel relieved that you're no longer having to put up with that, and you're safer because of it.
Of course,
So,
it's still somebody else's son, but
Yeah, I mean, you can't feel two emotions at once.
Yeah. Exactly. It's sad for the parents, but again,
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
It's sad that he died, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's also good that he's not causing trouble for other people as well.
My neighbour, being a parent herself, she said, if I had a son who was like that, I would have to cut ties with him because it's just too painful to be around him if they're causing so many problems for people, and I was like, yeah, but that must be really difficult as a parent for a person that you've raised.
You have to.
Yeah, of course, you're going to have to do what you have to do, but, you're often taught you're taught as a person that, parental love is unconditional, but in some senses it needs to be conditional because how can you love somebody who's a complete menace to society? You
I
know?
mean, I mean, you can love someone, but then condemn them for doing bad things.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
if my brother turned out to be a murderer, I mean, I'd condemn I'd condemn it to
yeah. But you
as
would
much as
still
everyone
love
else.
him.
But
Yeah,
yeah, because he's still my brother, he's still family. But it's
yeah.
like I wouldn't be like I wouldn't try to defend him in that case.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the key point into it. Right, you don't need to defend the person who's went out and committed a crime. You can completely condemn the crime, but you can also have an understanding of, okay, maybe they became a bit wayward in that situation, and
I mean,
this led
they
to
fucked
this.
up.
Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
fucked
they
up.
fucked up.
As long as they've then took accountability for that situation and said, you know what, hands up, I did it, I'm not going to do it again, then that should be it. You know, at the end of the time, they
I
serve the consequences and, you know, they get condemned for what they've done, but they get allowed to move on from that.
I literally thought you was gonna say hands up, don't shoot. And I'd be like, you're not going there, are you?
No, I mean, they should be able to be accountable for what they've done, right? And then as
Well, no,
long as they
you
make
should.
attempt to move on with their life, that's fine.
Yeah.
If they then do it again, that's when you
You
say,
should have
you know
you
what?
should be allowed a path to redemption, but if
Yeah.
you choose not to take it, then
Yeah.
you need to be held to account by others then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's the Bible, it teaches about forgiveness and things like that, you know what I mean? And forgiveness is not really for the other person, it's more for
What's it about?
yourself. It's more for yourself to forgive the feelings that you're having, I think, like, or to forgive
Well, it's
what
that. I
you've
mean,
done at that moment, you know, and
Yeah,
to
well, no,
move forward.
you've I mean, as what the way I understand it, it's supposed to be you don't succumb to wrath.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't succumb to wrath. I mean, you probably be able to say this better than any of us, Dominic. But yeah, as the way I understand it, you're not supposed to succumb to wrath and to be able to move past it and forgive if it's possible. But for the actual person who's done it, they are supposed to feel genuine remorse for what they've done
Mm-hmm.
and make a genuine attempt at atonement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
Dominic?
Yeah.
Oh no, I thought you went. I thought you was gonna respond to that.
No, I tend to leave religion out of it.
fair
I
enough.
mean, we're allowed
Yeah,
to
no,
discuss
that's
it.
a fair point. That's a fair point. If that's how you feel, that's fine. In terms of what it looks like on the surface, but for forgiveness, for me, it is forgiving more yourself rather than forgiving the other person. It's allowing yourself to move past whatever feelings you hold. You know, forgive that you're maybe feeling angry. Forgive that you're maybe
Well,
feeling
don't-
sad. You know, stuff
Don't
like
don't
that.
take that too far though, because there are people who take advantage of that and
Yeah.
they get endless second chances.
Of
So
course.
that you've got to be careful with that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's one of the reasons why we're in this
Yeah.
current situation anyway, because we are far too lenient on crime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as it's been throughout this episode and what's said before, okay, one mistake, one bad choice, that's, you know, it's acceptable. People make bad choices. People make bad choices when they're young, or even when they're old. They make bad choices. But it's when you go out and you repeat that bad choice, that's when it then becomes an issue, right?
Well, it's also that, but it's it also depends on the type of crime as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like you say, if it's like someone who's just like raped and murdered someone, it's like you gotta, that kind of thing. It's like you're not gonna just be able to just forgive immediately.
Yeah,
I mean,
of
you
course.
might never be able to forgive him.
Yeah,
Actually.
you wouldn't be able to forgive.
depending
I
on
don't
what
think you would
happens.
be able to forgive, you know, but you can still move forward. You don't need to
Well, yeah, no, you
necessarily
can-
forgive it. But
Yeah, you can move past it. Don't succumb to the wrath. I mean, don't go out and murder the person. Let
Yeah.
the well,
let
assuming the
justice
authorities do their
system
job,
take
let
its
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
The justice system exists for a reason, right? So that
Well,
you
it's
know,
supposed to.
yeah.
If it works, yeah.
Yeah, if it
Yeah.
works, that's the problem. And I think now people see it as the justice system doesn't work, and a lot of people are calling for the death penalty to come back because they think that's the only way that things are going to be
That's-
dealt with properly.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Restore Britain's trying to do as well. I mean, I'm a bit iffy on the death penalty because it's like I see the need for it. I do agree that there are some things that you should do, but I don't like the idea of that kind of power being given to people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like who
Makes sense.
determines, you know? It's like I'm of two minds about it because, well, I already said why, but yeah, how do we? I mean, how do I don't know how I reconcile that. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, so we've had a lot of discussion. Is there anything that we should summarize for the show, or
I mean, if
um,
anyone wants a summary, they can always just go. They can go back and listen to what we said earlier.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, like for me, I think yeah, okay. A takeaway from it is that we're maybe too soft in justice, but also there's a lot of societal problems, and crime is nuance. You know, it's not a one shoe
Well,
fits all.
people nuanced, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I would say if it was me, I would say I probably need to look more into what exactly makes British culture. Because if I'm going to argue for it, I should have something more robust than just saying culture when challenged
Yeah,
about.
like for Britain, I would say beans. Just
What?
beans, alcohol, footy, like
Beans and toast?
not beans in general. Sure, beans and those as well. Beans in general, like when I
I would
was in
say
England,
I would say
like pork
curry.
sausages, like
Yeah, curry, fish and chips. Come on.
yeah, but like
Ah,
basically heart disease
Heinz.
is what I would. That's how I see Britain.
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. I mean, you're not wrong.
You're
You know,
not
I'm not gonna argue that when you make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, no, I need. What I was saying is, I need to have something a bit more tangible than
Yeah.
just an abstract of culture.
You need to know what actually your culture should look like, how your men should be, how your women should be, how older people should be, how younger people should be, like a general sense over how you should function as a society. If it's
Yeah.
going to be abstract, then you will never have purpose. And if you have never purpose, you're
Well-
just going to go back to the same problems.
Well, that's one of the problem that a lot of woke people have. They do everything in the abstract.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I don't want to fall into the same trap.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
why you should find out yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I'm going to do. Obviously, that's what
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said it otherwise.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, well, we've had a great show, I think, for the first time live, and I hope that anybody who does watch us back or joined us had a good time. And thanks very much.
Do you think we should raid someone in case we've got anyone actually watching?
No, we don't have anyone. It's me and the streamer himself, so Dave.
Brilliant.
Yeah, if we ever get someone, maybe we'll raid. Yeah, I don't know. It's
Maybe.
only polite.
Maybe. Anyway, guys, take care. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye bye.
Have a good one.
Oh, well, there we go.
That works.
So it's good. It's good when we actually get to arguing like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean,
I've just
with
made
the
sure I've stopped
experts, that's
streaming.
going off topic.